like you want it. Favor, just touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Just make sure you get everything like you want it.
Well, good evening, Sigma race fans. We come at you live here tonight from Darlington for the last race in our head-to-head matchups before we determine who is eligible for the championship finale next week. And there's definitely going to be some storylines that we're following throughout this race here tonight. But let's just go through the running order as they start for tonight's 220 lap event here at Darlington. We got Bradley Ream and Scott Speed on the front row. Behind that, you've got Cooper Dwight and Tim Cording. These two just trying to play spoiler. They would love to get a win, especially here at Darlington under the lights. Then you've got Andrew Moger and Jack Davis, Jimmy Logano and Krista Cower, Atlee Weiss and Cannon Gage, Rich Roy and Gannon Bird, Alan Malcolm and Dave Steele Jr. Then you've got Ryan Little and Kevin Xavier, Jamie Horseman and Adam Starr. Actually, that's Tom Cording, not Jamie Horseman. Lucas Holmes and Braden Hunt, Spin Walker and Luis Rodriguez. Rodriguez looking to be a Cinderella story as he was the number 16 seed of 16 drivers here in the playoffs. Then you've got Anheuser Wagner and AJ Kosnoff, John Hagan and Ace, Willow Blake. Correct. Yes, I got it changed on here too. Kyler Sestre and Kat Durham. Wyatt Wilkinson on his birthday here tonight, racing in the 39 Hyundai alongside Paul Ladino. Osiel Escobar, Chasey Plays, Kyle Ottawa, Noah Hobson, Roach, and David Bird rounding out the field here.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
So tonight's 300-mile race here at Darlington, definitely a full feature-length race for these Bridge to Cup drivers. It's going to test the best of them here, and we'll get to see who's competing for the championship in just a week's time.
Yeah, 10-4. You hear me? Oh, yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Kenny, you got me? Oh, yeah, I got you loud and clear there.
The pace car is off, and we're going to get rolling here at Darlington. Looks like Chasey Plays had to pull down pit road here before the race even started. So possibly retirement or mechanical failure there on the 49. Bradley Ream off to the early lead. He is in need of a head-to-head win here today. Nice thing about leading the race, you don't have to worry about your head-to-head matchup as you're already beating everyone on field. So Bradley's head-to-head matchup is the 24 of Kyler Sustre, so he's got obviously a good start here tonight, leading the way. And if things work out the way they do, we could potentially have 10 drivers racing for the championship in Phoenix next week. Or we could have as little as 5 competing for the championship, depending on how their head-to-head matchups shape up here tonight after 221 laps of racing. There was a slight mistake on editing prior to this that I said that the 48 is locked in. We still need to see a third win out of him for it to be considered eligible. But then again, I don't know, man. It's tough because even the 19 here of Bradley Ream, as long as he outraces the 98 or the 24, he would have 2.5 wins to his 2 losses. So we'll go ahead, since there was that one race that threw it off, and honestly everyone was just needing to be at a winning record, we'll still give the 48 the win. So therefore he's not having to compete tonight against the 95, which would pretty much sink his chances, and he's only going to have 2 full losses after winning basically 3 in a row. So Cooper Dwight leading the way right now as the 95 of Scott Speed, undefeated in head-to-head matchups so far, 4-0. Looking to make it a perfect 5-0. But even then, it doesn't add or change anything. He's still going to be on the same playing field next week for the championship finale, where it's going to come down to whoever among the contenders finish the highest of each other will win the championship. Atlee Weiss has been lights out since hopping into this 84. Today, he's having to outduel the 11 of Spin'em Walker, and he's doing just that as they blow by Cooper Dwight for the lead. New leader, the 95 of Scott Speed. Atlee Weiss up to second. Tim Cording up to third. In the meantime, let's cycle to the back of the field and see how everyone else is doing. Oh, Jimmy Logano stuck on pit road here with a mechanical. Oh, he had a blown engine. So from coming out of the gates winning his first race to this, it's been a bit tumultuous for Jimmy Logano the last couple races. So Jimmy Logano going to be credited with last place as Chasey Plays rejoins the racetrack in 36th. 35th, you have Paulo Ladino. Anheuser Wagner, who has been eliminated from title contention, but he's still out here, still trying to race for as many points as he can. Then you got the 22 of Noah Hobson. The 24 of Kyler Sustre, which is, we highlighted already, the 19 of Bradley Ream. All he's got to do is beat this 24, and Bradley Ream moves on. The 24 already eliminated from contention as he had a 1-3 record head-to-head matchups. David Bird, Kyle Ottawa, Roach. Roach has been eliminated as well with a 1-3 head-to-head record. Running in 28th right now. His head-to-head matchup today is none other than the 35 of Dave Steele Jr. And so Dave Steele Jr. currently out in front of that 66 Looks like a reasonable distance. Asiel Escobar. Then you got the birthday boy, Wyatt Wilkinson, running 26th. He's an ARCA standout, leads the points in ARCA right now, and trying his hand at a couple Bridge to Cup starts to get his bearings for next year, possibly. That this could be where he's racing in 2025. Seems to be doing all right, running 26, beating a few of our star-studded veterans behind him there. So then you've got Willow Blake there in the 77. John Hagan, who has been eliminated from contention. The 12 of Kosnoff, the 4 of Braden Hunt, the 6 there of Kat Durham, the 27 of Adam Starr. And here's the 48, already locked in with his 2.5 wins. He's going to lose his head-to-head matchup today by the way they're running, because Scott Speed's going to be a tough one to beat. Currently running 19th, right there behind Dave Steele Jr. Of course, Dave Steele beating Roach, so Dave Steele would earn himself a championship bid next week with the running order that he's in. So the 98 here, Krista Cower has to outduel the 09 of Jack Davis. And Jack Davis actually running about 10 spots ahead of her in 6th. So she's got her work cut out for her. That is the low-hanging fruit here. She's got to get up into the top 10. She's got to get into the top 5 as they run to stay afloat. The 51 of Cannon Gage has to beat the 88 of John Hagan here today. And that 51 doing what he must. It's crazy as the 09 of Jack Davis is eliminated, and yet he's running in the top 10 here, keeping the 98 from moving on. A lot of racing to go. There's still a lot that could happen here tonight at Darlington. This track will find some crazy ways to snatch people up when they're least expecting it. But of the other drivers not yet locked in, it looks like we could potentially have 9 drivers as they run right now competing for the championship finale at Phoenix. Lap traffic is going to get in the way here of our lead bunch. This might stack them up and allow for the rest of the field to catch back up to our leaders. It's going to be interesting to see what Atlee does here. These two are teammates, the 95 and the 84. They've really been the stars of the season towards the end here. They make their way around the lap traffic there. We're going to go ahead and disqualify the 49 for not meeting minimum race pace here. Even with minimal damage on that car, it looks like the engine damage has some lasting effects there. So we'll send him packing for the day so that we don't get any more hang-ups here like that right there was getting pretty bad. Almost got to feel like there's a little bit of bragging rights to be had here to win tonight if you roll into the season finale next week with a little bit of momentum on your side. Between our top two drivers here, Atlee Weiss and Scott Speed, they are probably the clear-cut favorites at the moment to be one of the two to win the championship. But we never know. You know, you never know the factors that kick in once you go to a short track like Phoenix, what might transpire. We've seen these guys get involved with some wrecks that were not of their doing. And short tracks really put that into a bigger scope, as we've seen it happen so many times on the short tracks where these guys get tangled up. Looking at the 29 of Rich Roy, he is one of your 5 that's already locked his way in with a 3-1 record with his head-to-head matchups. 29 is facing the 26 of Lucas Holmes today. And would you imagine those two are running right next to each other. 29 has the advantage by 1 spot over the 26. The 26 has been eliminated with his 1 and 2.5 losses for head-to-head matchups. Therefore, the best he could do would be a 2 and 2.5. The 11, a couple spots back there, and he might be one of your next to get eliminated too. If he's got to beat the 84 of Atlee Weiss. So that would actually make it 8 drivers eligible the championship finale next week if the 11 is unable to catch up and pass Atlee Weiss, who's up front leading the way in 2nd place. Overall, 8 would be an impressive number to have competing for that overall championship, as we had 16 seeded. Cut it in half, we'll have likely 8 left to go. Unless things really come unraveled here at Darlington and more drivers lose their matchups, we can still roll into Phoenix next week with just 5. So last on the field, on the lead lap, the 94 of Paul Ladino. Not terribly slow, just not with the rest of the field on pace right now. We saw the 94 Paul Ladino do decently in the Truck West finale just a couple nights ago. Coming home with a top, I want to say a top 5 or a top 10 at Evergreen. Wyatt Wilkinson gains a spot. He's up to 25th now, following his ARCA rival there, the 77 of Willow Blake, as she's just 1 spot ahead of him. 35 still outdueling the 66, as you see Roach all the way back to 26. However, and it is probably the strangest fact here, is the 98 having won 2 of the 4 races in the playoff head-to-head matchup bracket, and yet she's still on the outside looking in. And with another head-to-head matchup here tonight where she's struggling just a little bit, she might be on her way out without a chance to fight for the overall championship. And there's a lot to be said about, you know, consistency here and showing up every week and makes every race that important. It does kind of imbalance the, you know, those wins that she got. They definitely helped, but not enough to put her in a shot to win the overall championship. It is quite a scenario to be in for her. You would think winning 2 of the last 4 races would have been enough to almost lock you in for the championship battle, especially being seated in the top 16. But when she's good, and when she's not, it's terrible. So, well, and those 2 wins that she got all came on strategy calls. So perhaps, just maybe, strategy could be the name of the game here again tonight at Darlington. If she takes 2 tires and a small gas and go, she could catapult up to the lead and win this one too. And man, what a storyline that would be. 17th right now for Krista Cower. She's got to get all the way up to 6th in order to beat the driver that she needs to beat here. In the meantime, Bradley Ream has worked his way up to 3rd. Cannon Gage in 4th. That knocks Tim Cording back to 5th. Cooper Dwight in 6th, with Jack Davis running in 7th. So far, we are 40 laps into the race here at Darlington, and no big drama yet. We've stayed green since the start of the race here, 40 laps non-stop, no cautions. And with that, of course, we're kind of closing in on a quarter mark here of the race. With about 56 laps, that would be our quarter mark. And if it stays green, as long as it's staying right here, we might actually start to see green flag pit stops in another chunk of the race here. And the reason all these drivers are in this series, they're trying to work their way up into the Cup Series. The big reward at the end of a season in Bridge to Cup is getting that graduation ticket up into Cup. And obviously there's still about 12 races left in the Cup Series. By the time we crown the champion, they will get to hop in a Cup car and finish out the last 10 races of this season to kind of get their, you know, rookie initiation underway. The only thing, for example, you got Atlee Weiss here, who is our defending series champion in the Cup. And he came down here just to fill in for an empty seat when we lost a driver. that was no longer able to compete. Atlee was given the ultimatum that if he could get a win and stay in the top 16 in points, he would have a chance to win a title that he does not yet have. And hunting down, trying to get all the titles in Sigma Racing, he wanted to try and get this one knocked off next, while he still has the ability to kind of pick and choose where he goes. And so that would give him quite the accolade if he could pull it off this next week, where he would be your 2023 Sylvania Cup champion and possibly a 2024 Bridge to Cup champion. Still a lot to be settled. Phoenix, we don't know who's gonna put down the best race at Phoenix yet, but obviously these two are showing why they belong. Jack Davis now up to 5th, making the job a little bit harder for Krista Cower, as we see she's still trying to fight her way back through the field. Currently running 15th, so making up some ground here, but definitely a long road ahead for that 98 team tonight. Spin'em Walker, man, Spin'em Walker still trying to catch up. He knows that his championship hopes lie in the hands of beating one of the top drivers, being Atlee Weiss. Kevin Xavier in the 10, running in 12th. 26, obviously out of contention, but still trying to outduel his comrade in battle here, the 29. Tom Cording in 9th, Alan Malcolm in 8th, Tim Cording, Cannon Gage, and Jack Davis. So the 51 of Cannon Gage, as long as he beats the 88 of John Hagan, he's locked in solid. There's a move for 3rd underway here as Bradley Ream and Cooper Dwight fight for position. Bradley Ream able to hold off the 41 for now. That's going to allow the 09 to catch up. Jack Davis right there behind the 41. Still caution free through 52 laps. We're about 1/4 of the way through this one. 3/4 of the way to go. And pit stops about to be around the corner here. These guys running 54 laps nonstop. Should be pretty shortly that they're going to have to go down pit road, get some fresh tires, get some gas. And that will likely really mix up the running order just a little bit. Differing strategies and calls on track is going to make a big difference here today. Alrighty, 58 laps in the book now. And let's do a through the field from the front, of course. Scott Speed leads over his teammate, Atlee Weiss. Third, you've got Cooper Dwight, who's had a couple wins on the season here. Not in title contention, but still looking to get more wins before the end of the year here. Jack Davis, Bradley Ream, Cannon Gage, and Tim Cording. Now, this Audi program has kind of dissolved at the end of the year here, and you're not going to see much from Audi next season. But that doesn't mean Audi will still be part of the Sigma Racing Series in some way or another. Hyundai, they're making the jump up to Cup in the form of Genesis, so we'll see some more representation in Cup from Hyundai Motors, at least. That'll be interesting. As you've got Alan Malcolm there for LFG Motorsports, trying to improve upon some of his finishes throughout the season. It has been a season that LFG most likely wants to forget about, as they have struggled to put together top 10s. The wins have been elusive. Neither Alan Malcolm nor Kevin Xavier have gotten any wins yet this season. Still 2 races to go. They're running top 10 right now. We'll see on these pit stops here if they're able to find some strategy calls to move through the field. And with that, yes, we're on lap 59 and the first round of green flag pit stops are underway. Your leader, Scott Speed, down pit road already. Let's see, did Atlee stay out? Atlee stayed out. Stayed 1 lap longer. He pushed it to lap 60. So, quick crunching of numbers here on the calculator. That'll put them at their last pit stop on lap 180 with about 19 laps to the good. So, as long as the race stays green, we don't see any cautions. That could be a 3-stop call. The other way, you're about 14 laps short to the finish. So it's really very minute in the amount of laps difference, but still you're going to have fresher gas, fresher tires by 1 lap on the rest of the field here, having pitted 1 lap later. The only downside is this outlap right here. You're going to be on cold tires just like that. You see the 95 on the outside already getting around Atlee. This is going to drop Atlee backwards just a hair as he rejoins the racing surface right in front of the 13 of David Bird, who is 1 lap down. Jack Davis looks like he's going to catapult up to 3rd here even. A decent jump for the 09, gaining a little bit of ground. Stuck behind this lap traffic, though it looks like it's going to hold him up a little bit. Want to be careful not to get too bunched up and wreck here, especially since Jack Davis is trying to spoil the party for the other contender of Krista Cower. Yeah, Scott Speed out to a demanding lead now. He was able to use the advantage of the fresh tires to jump out such a lead. For real, yeah, Al Bunch just mentioned it's crazy to think that about a year ago was when he won the Busch, what was Bridge to Cup last season, was the Sylvania Busch Light Series Championship. Our defending champion got graduated up into Cup, and you know, the rest is history, as they say, because you can see how well he's been lights out in our Cup Series so far this year, winning 9 races, leading the points, and pretty much a shoe-in to get the title locked up with races to go. So that goes to show you this stepping stone, you know, climbing that step of the ladder gets you that much closer to winning the biggest championship of them all in the Sigma Racing Series, and that is getting up into Cup. And whether it be Scott Speed here or someone else like Dave Steele Jr., Cannon Gage, man, Cannon Gage could really be a sleeper for that championship next week. He hasn't really shown what he's got, but look at what he's got here tonight. He's already up to 4th. And just picking them off one by one, it would be interesting to see someone like Cannon Gage that, heck, has never even won a race in Sigma Racing competition yet, could become your next champion. So that is quite unique, I must say so. It'd be a lot like that one Xfinity champion, the name escapes me, but his only win came at Phoenix when he won the championship. Daniel Hemrick. So we could potentially have our own Daniel Hemrick in the 51 of Cannon Gage if he were to win the championship without any wins. It's possible. Seems crazy, but it's realistic. Here we have Willow Blake on the tail end of going a lap down here. In front of that, we've got Kyler Sestre and Roach fighting for 30th and 29th position. Looks like Sestre gonna surpass Roach on the backside of the track there. Oh wow, Xavier had a bad round of pit stops. He has dropped all the way back to 27th now. Gotta wonder if there's maybe something wrong with that 10 car after pit stops. It looks like they went backwards on the adjustments for that car. 46 of Gannon Bird already locked in, so he's got nothing to worry about here tonight. Even though his head-to-head matchup's just 2 spots behind him. Crazy how many of these head-to-head matchups we keep seeing are so tight and close to each other in battle. Cannon Gage still running solid here tonight, but his competitor is starting to move through the field as well. Lucas Holmes, Ryan Little, Krista Cower dropping backwards now. She's struggling to find the right momentum. But how about Wyatt Wilkinson on his birthday here, running 15th in Bridge to Cup competition. He slowly and methodically has worked his way up the front of the field here and working with the strategy calls that the team has given him. Might be a solid finish on the horizon for this 39. Rich Roy, Andrew Moger, AJ Kosnoff, Kat Durham, Spinham Walker, Tim Cording, Tom Cording. Oh no. Dave Steele Jr., who needs to beat the 66 here tonight. Dave Steele has fallen a lap down. And how did this come to be? Did he make more than one pit stop? That just doesn't seem right. How the 35 is now 33rd. Oh, he got into some damage somewhere. The side of that car, they took time to fix it. That was it a Darlington stripe? Where did the Darlington stripe come from is the big question. He was running higher than 22nd at one point, so he must have got put in the wall. Don't see it. Oh, here we go. We might actually see it now. There we go. Lap 53 here for Braden Hunt, running right on his tail. Bumps him, sending him into the wall. That definitely is not conducive to making it through. That 35 still needs to beat the 66 heads up here today. 66 is 29th on the lead lap, so could still come to him, as the 66 is just shy of going a lap down here. Dave Steele clearly would have made repairs to the car, so Dave Steele still has the pretty much the race in his hands here. It's just going to be a little bit harder for him to recover. In the meantime, 95 of Scott Speed still running lights out at the front of the field. Willow Blake going a lap down. She's holding off the 95. Oh, and she's getting into the wall pretty hard there. Man, lap traffic not playing nice with the leader. still very crazy that we're racing caution-free so far here at Darlington. A tough track to do that. These guys are going to be putting in the reps here tonight. Obviously, this is somewhat of a prelude to our Cup Series. We're going to be hitting Darlington next on the schedule for the Sylvania Cup Series just 1 week from tomorrow. And we're going to have some throwback paint schemes to feature there. That'll be fun. Under the lights here at Darlington with some new paint schemes that have not been featured yet in the racing season. Looks like we've got about 12, maybe 13, maybe even 15, depending on who all finalizes their throwback paint schemes for Darlington in a week. And it's definitely gonna bring a little bit more excitement to the first race of double points payout. Al Bunch, your points leader, could come as a blessing or a curse, the double points, depending on how well out of the gates you get. If you struggle out of the gates, you might start giving up a bunch of points to your competitors, or vice versa. You might just start racking up all the points and close the championship down early. We saw it last season. It still came down to the last race of the year for it to actually factor out, as Atlee Weiss being your 2023 champion. Could we potentially see someone tie it up like Will Power did 2 years ago in 2022, where Will Power was the champion before we even hit the last race of the year? And then by Indianapolis, we were just trying to decide who's going to finish second through 40th, basically. Hopefully there's some excitement. Hopefully we have at least 3 or 4 cars eligible for a championship battle by the end of the season when we roll into Indianapolis. But you never know. Wow, 95 gives Willow Blake a bump there going into turn 1. Speed finally gets by the lap traffic, and he's going to have to start hunting down. Oh, no. Wyatt Wilkinson suffers a mechanical failure here. He was running in 15th, and he gets a flat tire. What a brutal heartbreak for that 39 team. Got to hold his head high, though, knowing that he was running faster than some of the top tier drivers here in Bridge to Cup. These are definitely learning experiences. Perhaps he was pushing the car just a little too hard there and burned the tires up, causing him to get a flat like that. He's going to be able to continue on and still learn some more throughout the race here tonight. And if we get a whole slew of cautions, perhaps he might even get a lucky dog or 2, depending on how many he's going to need to get back on the lead lap. So things continue on green as they have been throughout the whole night. We are right closing in on halfway. And it has been a dominant farce here from the 95 of Scott Speed. Oh, another mechanical failure. Is this a competitor for the championship? Nope. The 22 of Noah Hobson, he is not in contention for the championship, but he has pretty severe engine damage, that number 22. Pulling it down pit road, likely to be the end of his day. Gearbox failure for the 22 here on lap 93. So Dave Steele Jr. still in need of the 66 to go a lap down. Closing in on the back of the field here. That 66 can probably be a lap down here in another 30 laps. And then that would be Dave Steele Jr.'s chance to start and hunt down the 66. So the next round of pit stops would be around lap 158 to 160. Or correction, 118 to 120. I jumped way too far. 60 was the lap that Atlee pitted on, so therefore he should be pitting on lap 120. Scott Speed will likely be pitting on lap 118. So we're about 14 laps away from that window. And as you can see, Atlee, with the fresher tires, starting to catch up to the lead here. That waiting one lap extra, this is where it really starts kicking in at Darlington on the long green flag run towards the tail end of that long run. And Atlee might actually have a winning strategy here tonight if he has the fresher tires on a long run. He's probably going to blow right by his teammate in the 95 here before they even catch the lap traffic. At this point, basically a game of cat and mouse between Atlee and Scott Speed. These two better be careful not to make contact with each other, or else that could totally throw out the whole balance of this race here tonight. These are the top two drivers from the drop of the green flag. Atlee's gonna stick his nose down there and find a little bit of clean air. It looks like the next round of pit stops actually opening early here, as we had the 8 of Osiel Escobar dipping down pit road. Atlee has caught Scott Speed, but at what cost? We're still waiting to see. You do gotta imagine he probably burned his stuff up a little bit trying to catch up to the 95. And we do know the 84 should have fresher rubber by 1 lap. But for the most part, the advantage starts to plateau right about now, as these two, you can see, are running almost comparable to identical times. Passing is a different subject once you get right up to the back bumper. But then lap traffic starts to factor in, and you might see the lap traffic cause a bit of commotion here with our leaders. The good thing for Wyatt Wilkinson, the way that that flat tire fell, although untimely, it would not be out of the realm of possibility that Wyatt Wilkinson may have just got off strategy enough to be contending for a lead position if this race stays green all the way to the finish. Let's see when he was on pit road here. This is a long ball, a deep long shot here, but if we do the math, 89 plus 60 plus 60, not enough. It would put him at 209 pitting, but if he's leading on lap 200, or roughly on the lead lap, round lap 200, and we got a caution, he could inherit a lot of track position that the other people are going to have to give up. So I would still keep my eyes on Wyatt Wilkinson as to what might transpire there. When everyone else has to pit right now, he's going to be able to stay out and gain all those spots that he lost, and he'll probably be back on the lead lap for about 30 laps, depending. Sometimes getting off strategy is just what the doctor ordered. We haven't seen any more retirements yet, apart from the 22 that had a gearbox failure. And the disqualification from Chasey Plays, along with Jimmy Logano's unfortunate mechanical failure that forced him to retire way early here tonight. Wyatt Wilkinson on risk here of going 3 laps down. The leader's right there behind him. Roach tried to pick a fight, but lost the battle. Now this is truly where Darlington's character starts to strike. These guys are running 3 seconds off their pace right now as those tires are slipping away from them. The tires are falling apart, shredding on track here. The marbles collecting around the top rim of the racetrack, and your leaders having to face the full effects of that, struggling as much as they are just to get to the next pit window. Scott Speed going by the 66 here of Roach. That puts Roach a lap down. Atlee Weiss follows suit right behind him. Another mechanical failure. Andrew Moger blowing up on the backstretch. It seems to be a common theme here tonight. These cars are just rough for the wear here tonight. And you got to imagine a lot of these cars, parts and pieces of them have been on the car from race 1 to 30. 30 races into a season, it's almost to be expected when you have these many mechanical failures. The good part is our title contenders still very much in the mix here tonight. They have not found the unfortunate mechanical failure yet. But there's still 110 laps to go. Atlee trying to go for the lead, and now the 41 takes second away. That gives Cooper Dwight second as he blows by Atlee Weiss. Scott Speed, your leader still. Wyatt Wilkinson with the fresher tires making some moves here. Your lead possibly at risk of swapping here as Cooper Dwight catches up to the back bumper of Scott Speed. Man, yeah, the tires definitely showing their age here at the end of a long green flag run. This tends to open the Pandora's box for cautions to come out. Now, Dave Steele Jr. with the task at hand. His competitor he needs to beat is the 66, and just 2 spots ahead of him also trapped a lap down here. Oh, the 95 gets passed over for the lead. Cooper Dwight to the front, Atlee Weiss up to second. Scott Speed stuck way up in that high groove. This could be a moment in the race where it really changes the outcome here. Scott Speed needs to find some open ground and start maintaining the gap, or else those two at the front might very likely just walk away with it. This is fixing to be right where Wyatt Wilkinson could shock the field with the off strategy, the off cut that he's put together here. Brought upon by an unexpected flat tire, of course, but strategies still prevail, and who knows exactly what's going to come from the others pitting and him being able to stay out and hopscotch over all of them. So Cooper Dwight here most likely is going to pit in the next lap or two. Atlee Weiss would be in about 3 laps. Scott Speed already down pit road, so Scott Speed was 118 like I thought, right on the dot. Cooper Dwight here may be on the same strategy as Atlee, but I feel like he's probably going to pit on 119 right here. And he will not. He's going to stay out one more lap, just like Atlee is, as they push it to 119. Now this is going to be interesting. I'm really excited to see what Wilkinson can do when everyone else around him starts pitting. These two are staying out another lap. In the meantime, let's pause briefly here for a recording. Definitely one of our lengthier races here in the Bridged Cup Series, but with a lot on the line, as this will set the stage for next week's championship finale. Atlee pitting on lap 120. However, Cooper Dwight stretching it 1 lap longer, even further. So now let's go find the 39 of Wyatt Wilkinson out there. Shows him in 31st. Give him a lap or two. He's probably going to catapult up into the top 20. He's going to gain 1 of his laps back right here. Yeah, it'll take a 2nd lap, I think, before it actually factors in big time. jumps up one spot to 30th. Still technically, well, 2 laps down because our leader still hadn't pitted until now, I think. So, 39, Wilkinson making a move there on the 13. I do believe he should only be about 1 lap down this time around. With just being 1 lap down, he's going to jump so far up the list. Now he's only 28th. But as you see, they're all going to start leaving pit road. Atlee comes out. Scott Speed comes out with your your potential lead, it looks like. Now the problem for Wilkinson is he's going to be on older tires, and it's going to be somewhat of a struggle here, as the rest of the people with fresher tires will blow by him. But he has found himself just 1 lap down now in 27th, with the potential, if we were to get a caution, he would get the wave around with the 1 lap lucky dog. And not to mention, he is within range of racing for one of his laps back, but with those old tires, that's going to be a tall order for him to fulfill. 35 of Dave Steele Jr. gets by the 66. That is for a championship berth between the two of them. And actually quite resoundingly, as he's passed and sitting in his own comfy bubble there, a ways away from the 66. The 09 of Jack Davis running in 7th. He is still trying to upset the apple cart of the 98 at Krista Cower, whom is in 13th. So she still has a chance here to catch up to the 09. It's just going to be a long ways to go, though. She's quite a ways back still. This is where it would be nice if we could get a caution sometime soon to help really settle the running order up a little bit. Well, if you're just now tuning in, you have not missed a whole lot. It has been green flag action since lap 1. No cautions to be seen so far. The race has been dominated by the BMW teammates of Scott Speed and Atlee Weiss, where we've seen Atlee Weiss running in 2nd most of the night. Scott Speed has led plenty of laps. Swapped hands once to see Cooper Dwight leading the way during the end of a green flag stint, where his tires kicked in and was more effective than the lead of the 95. The way their strategies are unfolding here, we would likely see their last pit stops around 180, as early as 175 for Scott Speed here. And Scott Speed then would be able to go to 14 laps over the scheduled distance with his fuel. We're going to have to see on lap 161 here, though. It's going to be a huge topic point on the fall off of these tires. If you want to simulate the finish of this race, we're going to have to see where Scott Speed is relative to Atlee Weiss on lap 161. If Atlee Weiss is about to take the lead away from Scott Speed on lap 160, then you can expect to see Atlee do the exact same on lap 220 with the white flag. As these guys are really only pitting about one lap difference. You get that one lap out there on fresh tires, you gain about, it looks to be about good for 4 seconds on the leader. Right now, Atlee picking it off. He's down to 2.8 seconds now. Oh, the 88 of John Hagan gets into the wall. 39 in the wall. I wonder if we missed something here. This looks like trouble. Caution. First caution of the race. Forget everything I just said. There we have the 39 and the 88 getting into it. And then the caution comes out somewhere else. Oh, the 24 of Kyler Sestre. Blown engine. Has to stall right in the middle of the racing surface, bringing out the first caution of the evening here. Everything I mentioned about strategy, go ahead and throw that out the window. Because now we've got a whole new table of strategies to unfold. Might we actually see some strategy calls here from the 50 of Tim Courting? Tim Courting is going to become your new leader here tonight, staying out while everyone else pitted. This could be a death sentence for that 50 team, as we know tire fall off is so huge here at Darlington. Alrighty. So we give the wave round to get as many people back on the lead lap here. And so if we figure they pitted on lap 136 plus 60, that would only get them to lap 196 where they'd have to pit again. We're going to get back and rolling here for the restart on lap 140. It's going to be Tim Cording leading a very hard charging field to the restart. And who knows if cautions are going to breed cautions here. They're very, very slow here at getting the restart rolling. This is kind of unusual. There we go. The 95 gets the message. Now waiting for the wave of the green flag. And we're off and rolling here on lap 140. Scott Speed with the big jump there on Tim Cording. Ooh, Atlee gets into the wall there just a little bit. That is what we call a Darlington stripe here. Yeah, this is where Tim Cording is going to be a rolling roadblock. Those tires are nowhere near match for the rest of the field that he's trying to hold off right now. So, valiant effort. You got to give him a B plus for attempting it, but really it's going to be a tough stretch here for that 50 team. In the meantime, the 09 of Jack Davis slowly falling into the clutches of the 98, whom are head-to-head right now for what could be a title berth for the 98 or a go-home ticket for the 98. Here we go, the 21 on the inside of Jack Davis nearly makes contact there. This is forcing Jack Davis to whoa up a little bit. Krista Cower right there behind him. Tim Cording continuing to drop like a rock here. That 50 car not happy on the older tires. And I'm not quite sure the strategy call here, because he's still going to have to pit unless he thinks getting that edge during a stint when everyone else will be on wore out tires. Strategy is a very fickle beast. We might be looking at it right now thinking that the 50 is crazy for even attempting it. But when the tires matter most and he comes out there with fresh tires while everyone else is out there on worn rubber, it might flip the table. He could still find a way to make a good finish out of this. Wow, just like that, Roach is back in front of Dave Steele Jr. by about 3 spots. Dave Steele Jr., as they would run right now with the race, if it ended the way it's running, would no longer be in contention for the title. Meanwhile, Scott Speed, nowhere to be seen in the top 3. Scott Speed all the way back to 4th, as Cooper Dwight leads with Bradley Ream and Atlee Weiss in 3rd. Tom Cording running in 5th. Kyle Ottawa with a solid 6th place run. Under attack here by the 6 of Cat Durham. Cat Durham makes a move, gains a spot. And these two still racing hard for position. And meanwhile, you've got Cannon Gage, Anheuser Walkner, Spinham Walker, Ryan Little, AJ Kosnoff, Jack Davis, Alan Malcolm, and Krista Cower, Tim Cording, Gannon Bird, Asiel Escobar, Paul Ladino, Lucas Holmes, Roach, Willow Blake, Rich Roy, Wyatt Wilkinson, and Dave Steele Jr. The rest of these folks hoping another caution hit so that they can try to get another one of their laps back. Green-white checkers are enabled in case we need them. You never know, especially here at Darlington, if something might come out and bite one of these drivers. Heck, this has been one of the most labor-intensive tracks on engines, it seems, as we've had now 4 mechanical failures, and we're only 3/4 of the way through the race. So yeah, the 24 of Kyler Sustre, 78 of Andrew Moger, the 22, and the 28, all with mechanical failures. The 49 had engine damage. We don't know what that engine damage was, but it was bad enough that we had to DQ him from the race here, as he was not even meeting race pace with fresh tires. So Wow, top 5 under attack here as the 6 of Durham trying to make a move there. That opens the window for the 51 of Cannon Gage. The 81 gets shuffled up high and dropping now. Kyle Ottawa was fighting for top 5, and now he's going to be struggling to stay in the top 10. Not a whole lot's changed towards the front of the field. Still Cooper Dwight, Bradley Ream, Atlee Weiss, and the 95 of Scott Speed. We actually got 2 Mazdas right now leading over 2 BMWs, which it's been quite the opposite. Prior to this, it had been 2 BMWs leading over the Mazdas for majority of the race so far. So the tables have turned a little bit. Everyone here is on equal strategy calls. They should have their last round of pit stops around lap 196 of 221. And it's crazy how 2 of our title contenders are not doing what they need to do to get in. 35. Ooh, they might have an opportunity here as that 66 gets shuffled up high. Dave Steele Jr. sees blood in the water. Is he going to be able to get by the 66, or is the 66 going to play hard to beat? Dave Steele Jr. with that move right there guarantees himself a spot in the championship finale now. And he's just got to keep that 66 behind him with 60 laps to go. Now on the other side, the flip side here being the 98 of Krista Cower that needs to get a couple more spots there to beat the 09. That would lock her in. The 11 right there in front of her needs to gain about 10 spots to get ahead of Atlee Weiss. So the 11 a lot harder, not looking like it's possible for him without some greater turmoil out of the 84 camp. It's going to require divine intervention for that 11 to get past Atlee here tonight. But the 98 still very much could work her way up. Just 3 more spots there to get past the 09. With John Hagan getting trapped a lap down now, that makes Cannon Gage's job just that much easier. Cannon Gage running in 6th. Looks like he could potentially be one of your title candidates at Phoenix. Ooh, things getting shook up a little bit here as Bradley Ream gets the lead. Wow, Bradley Ream gets by the 41 of Cooper Dwight. Let's see how this all panned out. Oh, the lapped car, the 48. Luis Rodriguez holds up the 41 there, giving the 19 the position. And the rest after that, pretty much set. Bradley Ream, your leader, in need of a head-to-head win here. Even more so, just a win would do it. He's competing against the 24. Well, that's the icing on the cake for the 19 team. They don't have to worry about their head-to-head matchup now because they have locked their way in to Phoenix next week. They can't lose to the 24 no more because the 24 fell out with a valve failure on the engine. So the 24 cannot upset the 19's apple cart now. Atlee Weiss, the team owner, should be pretty proud to see that Bradley Ream is making it to the next step in the championship. The crazy part is, of all the mechanical failures, all of our title contenders that still need to have a good finish here today are still running. And so none of them have fallen out with a mechanical failure, luckily. And it's given us plenty to digest here on... Oh no, the 35 suffers a mechanical failure. Blown engine from the 35. This is what I unfortunately just jinxed it, bringing it into existence here. The 35 of Dave Steele Jr. bringing out a caution as well. He had the stoutest start of the season, and things just fell apart in the worst kind of way during the championship head-to-head matchups here. And all he had to do was outduel the 66, which he had in the book because the 66 of Roach had fallen way back. But this blown engine here, if it's going to force him to retire tonight, he will not be at Phoenix with a shot to win the championship next week. The percentage of damage to that 35 not looking pretty for his overall. I mean, it stalls on the back stretch here, bringing out the cautions. So you can only imagine the team frantic in trying to figure out what's wrong with that 35 so they could potentially get it back out there to make laps in case the 66 were to have a mechanical failure and fall out of the race. He could still race his way around the 66 if it fell out of contention here. But they just needed 50 more laps to go. And there you see it. He disappears from the track. Clutch failure on the 35 is going to send him packing tonight. And he is the first of our bubble drivers with turmoil on the night. Dave Steele Jr., your number one seed, is out of the battle. It's game over for Dave Steele Jr. Damn, what a weird season it's been. And that's the thing, it's all about being hot at the right time and when it counts the most. You might be strong out of the gates, but if you falter at the end, you're still gonna find ways to lose and stuff. The entire points tally, he has been passed by Atlee Weiss for the overall. Actually, no, Scott Speed for the overall points lead, and that's just the points in its own. That ain't even the championship like we're trying to settle here. So with that, he has given up the toughest second half of the year that anyone could potentially give up. Well, dang, Bradley Ream goes from fighting for the lead, makes a trip down pit road with everyone else. What goes on here? Why does he end up going? They must be making some extra repairs to that 19. They know at this point that he doesn't need the win. Looks like they just took a little bit of extra time to make sure the car was right for the final stretch here. As everyone that's pitted should be good to go to the finish. 60 laps would get them 11 laps over the goods, so well, we will still have a winner here tonight. We got to figure out who that's going to be, as we're down to just 48 laps left to go. Is it going to be one of our top guys here that we've seen all night? The slow start, it's we saw this last time where they struggled to get started here. Atlee on the high side. Going to take a minute for him to catch up, it seems. And where is the 98 of Krista Cowart? Wow, Krista deep in the field. She's going to have to catch back up to the 09 to fight for the ever very demanding spot in front of the 09. Atlee with the huge jump there. Good push from Weisner. Oh, and the 41 did not like the way they started that one. Weisner, Anheuser Walkner gets pushed up the track by Cooper. Dwight falls into second there, chasing the 84 of Atlee Weiss. In the meantime, Walkner in third, Durham in fourth, Kyle Ottawa with a solid top 5 run so far. There's 46 laps left to go now as your top 2 start to duke it out for the win. Deeper in the field, man, 09 might sink another title hopeful shots here tonight in the 98 of Krista Cowart. Battle for the lead. Cooper Dwight on the inside of Atlee Weiss, 65, using the momentum of both of those cars to catch up here. 65 of Walkner, unfortunately eliminated last week from the title bout, but still wants to go out there and end the season on a high note. Wow, the 41 bumps into Atlee there, pushing him into the wall. That's going to cause Atlee to drop 2 spots, it looks like. But now the 65 showing some newfound strength here at the end of the race. These guys showing up at the end of the race like this is Darlington for you, folks. You never know what you're going to get in these late race restarts. 65 of Walkner. Yeah, let's look and see what his schedule, his stats have looked like this season. Of course, he was in the top 16, so he'd had a season worthy of being in contention for the title. Head-to-head matchups have sunk him deep in the playoffs, but 11th in the points, 5 top 5s, 11 top 10s. Not a half bad season. No wins, of course, but that win still could come here within the last couple races if he's racing like this. And Iser Walkner, his best finish of those top 5s, he finished 3rd twice, once at a dirt track and once at a super speedway. So Darlington really nowhere in the realm of those 2 tracks. Walkner waking up here tonight at Darlington. Man, Jack Davis really is going to sink the title hopes of Krista Cower. Krista's all the way back at the tail end of the field in 28th. So she did not get the start that she needed here tonight. And this might be the end of her title bout. Roach still hanging on. Scott Speed from leading as many laps as he did to looking like a 21st might be all he's got. And believe it or not, in his head-to-head matchup tonight, he's still going to win that one. The 48 is a couple spots back, but he's a lap down in 29th. So Scott Speed will still look to be perfect here, 5-0. The 19 needs to beat the 24. We know he's going to do that because the 24 faulted out of the race with a mechanical failure. John Hagan and the 51 of Cannon Gage. Cannon Gage, though, still running solid here. Up in 7th. Atlee back up to 2nd. Fighting again with Dwight for the lead. Cooper Dwight under attack here now by Atlee. 84 car sticking his nose down on the inside here. He's got a run on the backstretch. Is he going to make a move? Holds off for now, going into turn 3. I'm just impressed to see Anheuser-Walkner running right there in 3rd. Kyle Ottawa in 4th. Tom Corning, Jack Davis. Trying again. That 84 car has got the speed here, and he's just trying to find an opening to take advantage. He's going to have to sit back and try again, as we still have right around 34 laps to go. Eight cars all within the lead pack here. If something really went haywire for one driver or the other, 8 cars within reach of the lead. Wow, here we go. Atlee, ooh, not quite, but it looks like he's going to have some drafting help with the 65 behind him. Side by side for the lead. Atlee with a nose advantage now. The 41 is going to try to haul around the outside using as much of the track as he can, and Atlee pays back the favor. We saw the 41 bump the 84 into the wall. This time we see the 84 do the exact same thing to the 41. New leader, Atlee Weiss, with just 30 laps to go. Of course, green-white checkers is enabled if they're necessary. We're getting right down to the nitty-gritty here tonight. Man, Krista Cower, 25th, just with no speed in that car right now. Man, the 46 of Gannonbird better consider himself lucky here tonight, because the 65 is outperforming him, and it would have been bad if the 46 rolled in here tonight without a winning record. Good thing that he had a winning record large enough to surpass a head-to-head matchup like this that could have sunk him. Laps continue to dwindle down here at Darlington. New third place driver, Tom Courting. All of a sudden showing up out of nowhere. The 81 of Kyle Ottawa gets shuffled out, but the 90 shuffles his way into the mix. Atlee Weiss right now looking at potentially getting win number 5 on the season here in Bridge to Cup. He would match Dave Steele Jr. on the same number of wins this season. It's crazy. Dave Steele Jr. just had the toughest stretch, and in most of the races he didn't run too terrible. In the head-to-head matchups with a 15th, a 19th, and a 9th. But because of those head-to-head matchups, he had to outdo a driver, usually one of the other drivers that was lower on the totem pole. He had the easiest route, and yet a bunch of our bracket breakers showed up in style and kind of shocked shocked the bracket altogether because so many of the drivers that you would think would lose in a head-to-head matchup were the ones that were winning. Therefore, stunning our #1 seed, Dave Steele Jr., who started off this season like gangbusters, winning at one point, had 3 in a row. Even after winning those 3, he had an 18th, a 16th, then he had another win. He had a 9th, an 8th, a 22nd, then another win. So it was really mostly if he had a win or a 20th place finish, which is not indicative to a championship push. It's just, you got to be a little bit more consistent than that. It's strange where the consistencies lie, that he was consistent in stretches. It just so happens that this stretch he was consistently top 15, and that was not good enough. And a mechanical failure tonight was the last straw in knocking him out of contention. Our #2 seed, of course, Atlee Weiss, solid, gets right on the edge here of being his 5th win. Our #3 seed, the 09 of Jack Davis, with the wins that they got, so that registered them as 3rd overall. Jack Davis, unfortunately, not in contention, so our 3rd seed, #1 and #3 seed knocked out. 4th seed gets locked in tonight, the 19 of Bradley Ream. Our 5th seed, that of Scott Speed, was pretty much the star of the show here in head-to-head matchups. 6th seed, the 46 of Gannon Bird. We will see him as well. But then our 7th and 8th seed both knocked out of contention last week. The #9 seed, the 65 of Anheuser-Wagner, knocked out. The 29, our #10 seed, locked in. The 11th seed, the 51 of Cannon Gage, looks like he's a lock right now. Our #12 seed, the 66 of Roach, locked out last week. The 11 of Spinham Walker, as long as Atlee's leading this race, Spinham Walker will be locked out at the end of the night, losing out. Krista Cower, short of the 09 of Jack Davis, blowing up in the closing laps here. She's not going to beat Jack Davis. So our #13, 14 seed, going to be knocked out. Our #15 seed is already locked out from last week. And lucky #16 is locked in. We'll have a grand tally of all that after the race. Before next week's race, we'll know who's fighting for the championship. So well, short of having a caution in the closing laps here, this looks to be the last of them for the win, as you've got Atlee Weiss leading over Walkner and Dwight. Just 13 laps remain here at Darlington. Final 10 laps here for Atlee at the front of the field. David Bird might be a factor here. Lap traffic that they can catch up to. 41 of Cooper Dwight gets by the 65 for second here with 9 laps to go at the line. The tires have really fallen off here, and Atlee drops 2/10 slower than that of Cooper Dwight, who was 2/10 faster. Is Dwight going to try to make one final push here to steal the win away from Atlee Weiss? Atlee's going to have to find a way around David Bird here pretty quickly to avoid losing more traction to the rest of the drivers behind him. Cooper Dwight sticking it in. He's driving it deep through the turn there. This is trouble for Atlee. Atlee not getting around the lap traffic quick enough here. This would open up the window for even the 65 right there in the mix now. Cooper Dwight, Anheuser Wagner. 6 laps to go. Tom Cording now gets stuck behind the 13. Jack Davis joins the mix here. And remember, if we get a caution here, if one of these guys wreck the 13, green-white checkers, we will keep trying until we get a finish under green. A white flag would end the race if we saw it. Ah, there we go. The rest of them find their way around the 13 pretty easily here. Wow, the 51 just side swipes the 13 just a little bit. Just a love tap. Five laps to go, and it's all Atlee Weiss at the front of the field. Cooper Dwight running slightly faster laps here. We've seen it happen in real life at Darlington where the leaders are racing for the win and they might bump to pass each other. It's not out of the realm of possibility that we might see a bump to pass from the 41 of Cooper Dwight on Atlee Weiss here to try and steal a win. As we're down to just 3 laps to go now. Green flag still, race staying green. Not looking likely that we'll have to exercise. No way, Atlee's having to pit on the last lap here. Does Cooper Dwight have enough fuel? Who has enough fuel? What is going to transpire here? Lap 219, Atlee was not able to make it to the finish. That might have been a miscalculation on the team for not getting enough fuel in the tank when they came down pit road last time. 41 of Cooper Dwight, is he going to stay out? I can't believe Atlee didn't try to push it there. Why wouldn't you? You would just try to run it till it runs empty. That's a bogus bad call there on the 19 or the 84 team. 41 on the backstretch. Staying green. Is Cooper Dwight got enough fuel to make to the finish here? White flag waving. The race is official at this point. We'll see if Cooper Dwight saved up enough fuel. Must have just been Atlee out front leading. Burnt too much fuel up, leading the race. 41 of Dwight going through turns 3. Gonna come out of turn 4. And that car is sputtering, but it's gonna sputter its way across the start-finish line. Right as that, oh no, the 65 almost could have won that race if the track was a little bit longer. You could tell the 41 was sputtering across the start-finish line. He made it just in the nick of time. Had enough fuel to make it to the finish. Holy cow. Man, Cooper Dwight definitely won for the dramatics here tonight. Atlee knew that he was safe to move on here. No way. That dropping Atlee out actually gives a berth to Spin'em Walker. Spin'em Walker needed to beat Atlee tonight, and he did just that. So it brings in another driver that was on the outside looking in. Spin'em Walker is going to be in the championship battle next week at Phoenix. Well, folks, you got a little bit of it all here tonight. Heartbreak for a few, exhilaration for others, and all throughout the night, just great racing. Cooper Dwight came across sputtering, out of fuel. He managed to pull off a Hail Mary there and saved enough fuel, just barely, to get the job done. Atlee just comes up short, having to make the pit stop late in the race. Falls a lap down, finishing 28th. And so for our first season of bracket racing, we come to a close and we get prepped and ready for the championship finale next week at Phoenix. Cooper Dwight comes out on top here at the track Too Tough to Be Tamed, known as Darlington. And thanks to all you for tuning in. Glad you can make it. This rounds out our August broadcasting. It's been a month of a lot. There was a lot of action, a lot of championships closing up, and we will start handing out the hardware, the trophies, and the final results for a lot of our series in September. So with that all due said, have a good night out there, everyone. Stay safe, and until next time, this is Jakester signing out.